There's a theme that's been going around a lot lately, and something that has been very important to me for a long time. This idea between the forever now and growth. The idea of whether we should let things stay, if they're good, exactly as they are, or do we dare to break the cycle, dare to break the perfect moment for something more, dare to go further, dare to grow. And it's kind of wild to me that it's taken me this long to even talk about this, because this is something that has been very core to what I believe has shaped most of these little talks of mine. The idea of reflection, of discovering new ways to do things, of being willing to adapt, being willing to try new things. These are all parts of that growth. But growth sometimes gets a weird rap. Not a bad rap, but almost everybody will agree that growth is good. But there's sometimes people that say, oh, well, growth is when I go out and I hit the town and I try all types of new things and everything, and I gotta, expand my horizons. Yes, it actually kind of is. But there's a big question in terms of intentionality, right? Because I could play, let's say, a VR game, right? And if I'm a game developer, and I go in and I'm trying to learn the intricacies and I'm trying to understand, how they did these perspectives and all this stuff, that's something I would consider to be growth. Something that's trying to further the development of a skill that you already value. But if we go in with this mindset of, all right, I just want to escape. I just want to not exist. I'm just trying to surrender my consciousness to this entity, this activity. That's when you've completely disconnected yourself from what you're doing. And I think if you want to grow, if you want to continue working on yourself has to be involved and it has to be engaged with what is happening. But that's hard, right? It's like when somebody comes up to you and they have some random question and you don't really have the brain power to answer it, so you give them some flippant answer and then they go, oh. But that's because we're tired and we don't have the strength to put ourselves in there sometimes. And that's okay. We don't have the power to be 100% there all the time. However, I think what is at least a good stepping stone and something that helps me is looking at every single opportunity, every single interaction that I have, especially with people, but with media as well, with experiences, with the way that I do my work, I see those as opportunities for growth. But what I mean by that is not just some, air quote, fluffy thing in the sky called growth. No, growth to me is acknowledging what I'm doing, understanding it, and seeing what I could do to further it, or how this has shaped me, or why I'm doing this. And maybe iterate upon that process. Not to throw my own process out the window, but to see its strengths and see its weaknesses. How do I shore up those weaknesses? How do I amplify those strengths? That is part of what growth is to me. And so that's why I had always felt that I was pretty good at talking, saying things, doing all right with video editing, but I wanted to amplify that. I wanted to give myself an opportunity to get better at that. And so I started making these videos, and I have seen myself grow so much in my video editing and my ability to conceptualize and speak my thoughts in one unedited stream of consciousness. Fun fact, 90% of these talks are not edited. There are no cuts. It's just me talking. And that's why I want to encourage you as well. Even if you tell yourself, oh, I'm not as good as him at talking, oh, that's okay, right? It's not a contest. The only competition that you really have is against yourself. I'm not competing against any other YouTubers out there. I'm competing against me yesterday. I'm trying to make a better thing today than yesterday. Because if I can look backwards and cringe at what I did, that means I've grown. That means I've gotten better. And if you want to do this too, what do you have before this? If you have nothing, then if you do something today, congratulations. You're better than yesterday. All right.